Hello everyone on YouTube, TheMainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and awesome to have my awesome, well, I'm gonna go with double awesome, my Twitch followers here. Bless their hearts, have supported that so much lately, and so have all of you on YouTube who have supported me through subscriptions or likes, you know, or kind comments. Thank you all so much. I'm going to talk a little bit about the cross-up here. I made a video on it a few months ago when it was announced. It is the new controller from the Hitbox team, their engineers. And I have a couple of opinions on it I want to throw out there. And it starts with the news that we received on Twitter a few days ago that this controller is now legal at EVO, and most likely other tournaments are gonna follow suit, and this is gonna be, I guess, the future of controllers. And this to me is, it's cheating. I'm gonna go into some detail here, but just looking at it, I'm like, I don't know how anyone can take a look at that and say that it is not cheating. So if you've ever seen a normal arcade stick, you know that we have that thingy to the left there, which is where you input directions with the joystick. And then the dark buttons there, so that's the buttons without the white circles, are the attack buttons. So with your right hand, you input attacks, and with the left hand, you input directions with a joystick or a D-pad, you know, on a regular dual shock. Or maybe you're using a Mixbox. I like to use a Mixbox. You have a WASD to input directions. But on this controller, you actually have access on both hands to directional inputs. You have two sets of directional inputs. Those dark circles there with white circles, that is another set, apart from the joystick, another set of up, down, left, right. So let's take it from the start. Execution is very, very difficult in most fighting games. Tekken is very well known for its just the simplest thing as doing a retreating from the opponent is notoriously difficult. You have to learn to Korean backdash. For most people to get fluent at that, it's months or years. It requires a lot of dedication and effort. And what controller manufacturers have tried to do is, how can we make all of this easier without making outright macro controllers? Because that is, at least to everyone's mind, illegal at tournaments. Having one button to do an electric or a backdash, mashing one button to do a backdash. But how can we bend the rules of a controller without making outright macro? And I think in 2012 or 13 was when the Hitbox team released the original Hitbox that only had buttons, and that was controversial, but the controllers generally accepted these days. I had my reservations about it, but I feel it's okay. You have keyboard now. Most fighting games are now on PC. Keyboard is also used a lot. I myself use a Mixbox. I've had some reservations on all of these three types of controllers, but today I think they are fine. They do push the limit a little bit. I believe they are stronger than arcade stick or pad, but I still feel they are okay. You have one set of directions and one set of attack buttons. And what I actually really like and feel is positive with the Mixbox and keyboard as well is that it's just so accessible to anyone. You know, if someone hasn't played Tekken before, my girlfriend, for example, could pick up a Mixbox and it felt intuitive to her, the directions. Whereas on an arcade stick, it can be very hard to try and find the different directions. So I can see the positive things on those. But then, of course, this is a new invention from the engineers at Hitbox, and this is now, it has garnered some controversy. But some people seem to think this is alright, and apparently the guys organizing EVO feel it is alright. But I just look at it and I go, you have double sets of directional inputs. So you can use your left hand on the joystick and the right hand and combine those and do crazy shit. Like for example, the classic backdash, Korean backdash cancel on a keyboard is basically, well, if you allow many types of directional inputs, you know, multiple buttons, you can hold back and then just tap down forward. So you'll be able to do that effortlessly with this controller. You just hold back on your joystick, and then your hand doesn't even have to go far towards the left. You just reach up a little bit to reach the dark buttons with white circles, and you hit down forward, down forward, down forward, and you'll get the fastest backdash cancel you've ever seen with no dedication whatsoever. You can learn to do that in 15 seconds. Hitbox actually had a booth at EVO, Las Vegas 2019, I was there, where they had an employee who had cross-ups, and he had Tekken 7 loaded on a PC, and he was demonstrating the cross-up, and he would teach everyone to do electrics and backdashing with Kazuya. And basically everyone who tried it could do flawless electrics, because there's a very specific technique you can use on the cross-up and the cross-up only. It's basically holding forward and then doing, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it gives you pretty much perfect electrics almost every time. And there's a nice example here posted to Twitter by, I don't know who the user is, but here you can see him using Kazuya.
Of course, you want to start.
This is his first time playing Tekken.
Yes.
With the cross-up.
Electric is very plus on block, but the problem is if they duck it, you're in for a world of hurt because you whiffed and minus shit on whiff. Of course.
So this is his first time ever playing Tekken, and he's using a cross-up with Kazuya. And what I counted was 22 electrics in a row. I've been playing on an arcade stick Tekken for 14 years, and I can rarely do 22 electrics in a row without fucking one up, getting either a down 2 or a win god fist, and that's after 14 years. And I have a pretty damn solid electric, I would say. It's really strong. But so he can almost beat me the first time he ever plays Tekken using this controller here, where you can do a very specific technique, making this very easy. So not only do I feel this is pretty much spitting in the face of everyone who's an execution enthusiast or has put a lot of time into this, but also like the developers designed the game in mind for people who had only one set of directional inputs. This was never meant to be a thing. Tekken is not designed for this type of controller. If you make all kinds of execution easy, Tekken loses its identity. And it's almost like if everyone now, every fucking person who gets this controller gets a perfect electric, do the developers have to balance the game with these controllers in mind? Do you know why the electric was designed to be hard to do? And it is very hard to do on an arcade stick or a DS pad, which was always supposed to be the controller you were supposed to use. Do you know why it's so hard? Because it's a 14 frame, or in Kazuya's case, a 13 frame launching high that is +5 on block. That does a fucking decent chunk of damage, has got great range, recovers quickly, awesome combo tool. That is why it is a just frame and has a very technical input. But when you bring out a controller that is designed to go around the developer's wishes, you know, and immediately grant you access to this move and make it super easy, do they have to balance around that? And gone, at least for me, are the days where you would look at incredible Mishima players and say, wow, that's awesome. He must be very dedicated. He must have put a lot of time into that. Look at him moving, you know, and the electrics and the crouch dashing, great shit. That's gone now. All I'll be thinking now is, he's probably using a cross-up. Or there's nothing special anymore with good electric execution or good execution overall in Tekken, because anyone can do it now. You don't have to do what I did, bust your ass for 10 years. You know, don't do that. Just buy this. You'll be doing what took me a million years to do. You'll be able to do it in, what, a week? Tops? And I see so many people, some people defend this, and it's like, at the same time, a lot of people criticize developers for putting pay-to-win stuff in games. Like, for example, I don't know, let's say World of Warcraft. You can pay $10 to immediately get a level 99, I don't know anything about the game, I've never played it, but to get a level 99 wizard character. Or you can slay boars and grind for 12 months. Or pay 15 bucks up front. You know. And most people these days, they certainly don't have a patience. Many gamers don't want to grind or, you know, put the fucking effort into it. They'd rather just, oh, it's just 15 bucks. Just pay it. Give me the OP shit and I can start playing. Because I want the great strength immediately. And I feel like that's basically the same thing. You know, where usually great Mishima players were a sign of dedication. Now basically just get this controller and you can be that guy. 22 electrics in a row, never played a Tekken game. And some people, I even saw comments on that video, people saying like, well, it's not like standing electrics are that hard to begin with. I mean, trying to defend it, but his first time playing Tekken, he's doing 22 electrics in a row without dropping one. And you're saying, but standing electrics aren't that hard to begin with. I mean, are you in complete denial, or are you watching another video? And someone wrote, well, it's not like he's doing crouch cancel electrics. No, he's just doing 22 electrics in a row his first time playing Tekken. How long do you think it will take him to do crouch cancel electric with that thing? You know, so I feel this is the complete wrong direction to go, but obviously this stuff like this probably sells a lot, and it's a shortcut, you know. Why spend so much time actually, you know? And it's so fun, so much fun grinding Mishimas and getting better. But this is a get it for free basically. And instead of having all of these engineers bending over backwards and stumbling all over themselves to find the new bullshit way of getting easy execution, why not go with macro immediately? Why even be bothered with macro if you're gonna allow this shit? Honestly, I just be honest about it and let them make controllers with one button electrics or one button wave dashes. Like, why not? Why do engineers have to come up with fucking shit like this? Just allow macro. If you feel that execution should not be a thing. I mean,
gifted a tier 1 sub
to me, that's basically what you're saying. What you're saying. Chosen Junebug, I'm gonna thank you in 2 seconds, but sorry, I had to do that because I gotta finish this little shit speech here. But in my opinion, if you're gonna allow multiple sets of directional inputs, then just might as well go with macro at this point if this is legal. Like, you're 95% there. Just add the last 5% and you're in macro territory. Why not just do it? I can't take this seriously at all, and I can't believe this is actually approved. And again, what a slap in the face of Tekken and Tekken's developers. What is Tekken's identity? Backdash cancel, electrics, hard to achieve. It's supposed to be hard to do. That was part of the game's identity. And you rob the game of its identity when you do this. And yeah. The game is designed around one set of directional inputs, not two. And the final point I'm going to make, and it goes for the normal hitbox as well, but it's this point I've made multiple times, but I can restate it because a lot of people don't know it or have missed it. It's that there's one thing a normal controller and an arcade stick can't do, and it's inputting multiple directions at once. You know, it's just a physical limit. You can't do it. So, for example, when you see Mishima duels in, let's say, Korea, a lot of people are under the assumption that Koreans play on player 1 because that's pro. Only Mishima scrubs play on player 2. But that's not the case. If you're in a Mishima duel and you're playing offline, player 1 always is at an advantage. And why is that? Because, for example, if Kazuya does on forward 4, you know, his right splits kick, that puts him in +4, and the opponent goes down into a crouch. You know this, right? It forces a crouch. When you're forced into a crouch, the only sidestep you can do is into the background. You can only sidestep into the background. And what this means is that the player 2 Mishima, if he blocks a forward 4, he can't sidestep left, which is the direction where you want to sidestep versus Mishima's. He can only sidestep right into the side where all of the Mishima attacks track pretty much. Whereas player 1, if he blocks a forward 4, he can sidestep left. So that's something a lot of people miss, but that is one of the reasons why Koreans prefer player 1, you know. And of course, you have a higher degree of precision on an arcade stick on player 1. A lot of people think it's player 2, but it's not, it's player 1. But, okay, I think I've ranted enough, I guess. But, yeah, to me, this is a joke. And I honestly cannot believe this was actually approved by Evo. So that's what was so surprising to me. I thought this was going to remain, you know, an obscure thing that some people could pick up, you know, or maybe a lot of people, but I didn't think we were gonna see it at tournaments, and especially not at Evo. So, yeah. And I just gotta state again, like, the amount of hours I've put into my Mishima craft, you know. I don't know, it's basically like you're Usain Bolt. You've mastered running, like the technique, you've harnessed your physicality to a perfect state, you know, to be the best runner of all time. You know, you've spent 15 years becoming the perfect running machine, maximum human potential. And then suddenly the referee comes and says, oh, we're gonna allow cars. Everyone can drive a car. And you're like, but all my work! 15 years of developing all of this skill, you know, and physicality, and now everyone's gonna just drive cars? I don't know, maybe a crap analogy, but that's a bit like what it feels like to me. With this controller, you can do things that you can't do with any other controller. It's completely overpowered, and the consistency is ridiculous. You can perfect electric like nothing on this controller, from what I've heard from people. And again, Kazuya's electric is balanced around the fact that perfect electrics are very rare, because humans can't get that consistency really on an arcade stick or a pad. But with this controller, what happens if hopkicks are regularly punished by perfect electric? Yeah, I don't know, so many questions. So I hope you all weren't bored to death by this rant, but I wanted to touch upon it because, yeah, the whole thing is just so ridiculous. So, hope that was a little bit entertaining at least.